So imagine this. A mad scientist creates a tiny blue gremlin with super strength, zero chill, and a PhD in chaos. Naturally, it escapes, hijacks a spaceship, and crash lands in Hawaii. Meanwhile, a little girl adopts him thinking he's just an ugly dog. Spoiler alert, he's not a dog. Welcome to Lilo and Stitch, the story of how one alien menace becomes part of a dysfunctional coconut-throwing, Elvis-singing ohana. Let's dive into the madness. In a galaxy far, far away, the United Galactic Federation convicts the evil genius Dr. ℬ𝔬𝔭𝔫𝔫 for illegal genetic experimentation. As proof, they present his latest and most dangerous creation, Experiment ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫, an aggressive, nearly indestructible creature. ℬ𝔬𝔫 proudly boasts about his creation: bulletproof, fireproof, capable of thinking faster than a supercomputer, and strong enough to lift objects 3,000 times its size. Fearing the catastrophic potential of ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫, the Galactic Council sentences the creature to exile on an unpopulated asteroid. Captain Gantu is assigned to escort ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫, with security programmed to fire only on him should he attempt to escape. But during transport, ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 uses his own saliva to break free and hijacks a police cruiser. A chase ensues, and after being hit by laser fire, ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 activates the hyperdrive and crash lands on a small blue planet, Earth. Outraged by the escape, the Grand Councilwoman consults Earth expert Agent ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 to plan a recovery. She considers destroying the planet, but ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 objects, explaining that Earth is a protected wildlife preserve, important for rebuilding the endangered mosquito population. He warns that sending a military force would cause mass panic, so instead, the Council reluctantly assigns ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 to retrieve ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 under ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦's supervision to prevent further chaos. In exchange, ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 will regain his freedom if the mission succeeds. Meanwhile, on the Hawaiian island of Kauai, a quirky little girl named Lilo is running late to hula class after playing at the beach. She sneaks in, still dripping wet, and disrupts the class. When questioned by her teacher, she makes up an outrageous excuse. Her classmate Myrtle mocks her, calling her crazy, prompting Lilo to pounce and bite her. The teacher breaks up the fight and says he'll have to inform her guardian. Lilo begs him not to, claiming she only wants to dance. He instructs her to wait on the porch for her sister, but Lilo walks home alone. She tries to connect with her peers by showing them her odd homemade doll, but they only laugh and run away. When her older sister and guardian, Nani, returns home, she's furious that Lilo didn't wait for her. Even worse, Nani arrives to find the door locked and nailed shut. As she pleads with Lilo to open up, social worker Cobra Bubbles arrives, catching Nani in a compromising moment that looks like child endangerment. Forced to let him in through the back, Nani explains their situation. But Bubbles isn't impressed, especially after seeing Lilo alone with the stove on and practicing voodoo curses on her classmates. Before leaving, he warns Nani she has 3 days to improve Lilo's home life, or she'll be taken away. Later that night, Nani and Lilo reconcile under the stars, just as Experiment ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫 crash lands nearby. Lilo wishes for a friend, and Nani, touched by her sister's loneliness, takes her to the animal shelter the next day to adopt a dog. Meanwhile, ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦𝔫, dazed and disoriented, gets run over by a truck and ends up at the shelter. When he miraculously survives, the other dogs cower at his bizarre appearance. He breaks free, but returns to the kennel when he sees ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦 and ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦 arrive. Hoping to use Lilo as a shield, he pretends to be a dog by retracting his extra limbs, antennas, and spikes. Lilo, fascinated by the odd-looking creature, insists on adopting him and names him Stitch. ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦 is enraged, but ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦 reminds him they must remain undercover as they look like alien monsters. Lilo tries to reintroduce herself to her classmates, but Myrtle rejects her again. Stitch, spotting ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦 and ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦 in disguise, steals Myrtle's tricycle and takes off with Lilo to the beach. While Stitch explores the island, he's frustrated to realize he's trapped in the middle of nowhere. Despite his destructive nature, Stitch begins to resist his urge to wreck everything, trying and failing to act like a normal pet. Lilo notices his chaotic tendencies and tries to help him improve, but ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦 and ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦 make several failed attempts to capture him, leading to chaos. At one point, Stitch bites ℎ𝔬𝔬𝔦's head, causing a scene that gets Nani fired from her job. At home, Nani prepares to throw Stitch out, but Lilo reminds her of ohana, the Hawaiian belief that family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. ℬ𝔬𝔬𝔦 secretly observes Stitch, regretting that he created him only for destruction. With nothing left to destroy, Stitch has no purpose. One night, Stitch finds a storybook about the ugly duckling and asks Lilo about it. She explains that the duckling was lost until it finally found where it belonged, his family. The next day, Cobra Bubbles returns and learns that Nani lost her job. He gives her one final warning. Lilo tries to teach Stitch how to be good using Elvis Presley songs, but nothing works. After another failed job search, Nani and Daveigh, her friend and admirer, take Lilo and Stitch surfing to lift their spirits. Stitch, feeling left out of the fun, wants to join and ends up dragging Lilo underwater, while Jumba and Pleakley attempt another ambush. Nani rescues Lilo, and Daveigh pulls Stitch out. Cobra Bubbles witnesses the chaos and informs Nani that he'll be picking up Lilo in the morning, implying she'll be taken into foster care. That night, Stitch watches Nani and Lilo spend their last evening together. Feeling guilty and lost, he wanders into the forest and waits for his real family to come for him. Jumba finds him and tells him the truth. He was made in a lab and has no family. But Stitch runs away, refusing to give up. Back at home, Daveigh tells Nani he may have found her a job. As she leaves, Jumba breaks into the house to catch Stitch, but ends up causing a massive explosion. Lilo survives, but when Nani returns, she's horrified to see their home destroyed. Bubbles arrives and refuses to give Nani another chance. Lilo, overhearing them, runs into the forest. Stitch finds her, but she blames him for ruining everything. Suddenly, Captain ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔩 arrives and captures them both. Nani tries to follow, but is too late. ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔩 locks them in a glass capsule, but Stitch escapes just before takeoff. When Nani demands answers, Pleakley and Jumba arrive and manage to recapture Stitch. Stitch tells Nani about ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔩, and despite everything, promises to rescue Lilo. With Jumba and Pleakley's help, they pursue ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔩 in a spaceship. Stitch crashes onto ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔩's ship and tries to free Lilo, but ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔠𝔦 knocks him off using thrusters. Stitch falls but survives. Determined, he hijacks a fuel truck, drives it up a volcano, and uses the explosion to launch himself back onto ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔩's ship. He defeats ℬ𝔬𝔦, frees Lilo, and they return home just before the ship explodes. Back on land, the Galactic Federation apprehends Stitch. ℬ𝔬𝔦 tries to explain himself, but is dismissed and forced into retirement. When Stitch politely asks permission to say goodbye, the Grand Councilwoman is surprised by his behavior. Pleakley and Jumba feel sympathy, but she insists she cannot overturn the Council's orders. Then, Lilo steps forward and declares that she bought Stitch from the shelter, legally making him her pet. Bubbles backs her claim, reminding the aliens of their own rules. The Councilwoman agrees, allowing Stitch to remain on Earth in exile, officially placing their family under the protection of the Galactic Federation. Jumba and Pleakley stay behind and help rebuild the house. Now part of their family, Stitch helps with chores and lives happily with Lilo, Nani, and their extended ℬ𝔬𝔦𝔠𝔦. Agent Bubbles checks in occasionally, while Jumba and Pleakley pop by for family gatherings. Together, they embark on new adventures, and finally find where they belong. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, check out our other videos, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon to stay updated.